No, it's changed so much since I guys last text you.
That's okay.
Just at this point, it's like I just want the demarcation line to just
softer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Preferably just actually I kind of like how the darkness of my hair is before. Or
Yeah. Is this your natural texture?
Yeah, I just blew dried.
Okay. You have old highlights in your hair?
Yes.
When were they done?
Was it 2.5 years ago?
Okay.
2.5.
And then you darkened them?
Yeah, the lady just toned it, and then I just kept that one with just doing the roots.
Okay, you just toned it once?
Yes.
Okay. Were they like super blonde or like?
No.
Like maybe like mine, my hair?
Even darker.
Darker than my hair? Okay.
I kind of do, but only if I can with like the darker background.
Keep the dark in the back. Okay.
Or even, originally I wanted to be like this.
Because you're natural, you have a lot more white than dark in the back hair. So if you wanted to maintain the dark, we could do a demi in between the highlights to do so. And then eventually, if you feel like it's not blending enough still, then we'll stop doing the demi and just do highlights to blend from there. Yeah, we can start off with doing that. But I might have to just like lighten up this a little bit heavier to make it blend a little bit better this first round as we do the demi and kind of transition you, because I don't want this to still look darker than the top.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Okay. And then the only thing is I don't know how light these old highlights are going to get. That's going to be the trouble area because they've already been pre-lightened and then you darken them. And so when I lighten you, it's going to lighten really unevenly. Like this is probably going to be the darkest, and then in between the dark from the highlights, that will also lift up a little bit warmer. So I don't even know if you're going to be able to get to like a super grayish tone today. We might be able to do maybe like an ashier brown tone, just depending, because when those highlights or whatever is lifted gets to like the level that is like the lightest, we have to stop. And then just tone according to there, and then I'll get like a better picture of what you're lifting like, and then see what to do for next time, as far as like placement, and then what tones we can do, and if we can relighten this area, because sometimes when it's old highlights that are darkened and then you re-highlight them, they can only take so much. So they might not be able to take a second round of lightening. I'll just have to see as we go through it if your hair is feeling okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a new client who is wanting to do some gray blending, and her color history, she has some permanent color, some old highlights on the very ends that have now been darkened, and we are trying to create a more blended look where she doesn't feel too blonde. And this is a little bit tricky because she has a lot of beautiful silver, you can see in the back. I would say it looks more light than dark, and so the placements that she's kind of asking for doesn't fully match her gray pattern, in my opinion, because they did have a lot more depth. But when doing a first-time client that is transitioning to gray blending, if their main concern is being too blonde, then I'm just going to go with it and give them what they want. And what I mean by that is that I will be doing the demi for a few reasons. And when I say I will be doing the demi, that is going to be putting a demi permanent in between her highlights to help blend and transition her to this gray blending transition. And the first reason why I'm choosing to do the demi is because this is her first session with me, and usually typically if a client has very silver roots, meaning they have a lot more salt than pepper, and their mids and ends are pretty solid brown or a darker tone, I will normally use a demi to kind of create some sort of transition, because if we don't put a darker demi blend in between the highlights the very first session, the roots are still going to look like they're a little bit lighter, because the hair that's in between the highlights at the root would just be her gray, and so we would need that depth. But I will say the other reason why I kept saying that we could do the demi next time also is because she expressed to me that she didn't want to be too blonde. And usually when a client says that, that's like an indicator that I'm going to do the demi, because that adds more depth back into their hair if they're not loving how much silver they naturally have. So those are the two main things of why I would choose a demi. But in most cases, I try to avoid it if I can because of a few reasons. One of the reasons is it gives a little bit of a harsher grow out. I would say the ultimate soft blend for any client is to do the least amount of color, like darker color. And that's what the demi is. It's kind of sheerly covering her grays in between the highlights. And if we can avoid it, that would ultimately give any client a really soft grow out. But in her next appointment, which I'll show you what it looks like and what we do decide not to do the demi, but we kind of go a little bit back and forth because I'm trying to get a feel of what's more important to her, whether she loves the depth or whether she wants the grow out to be softer than what it is now. And so those are just some key things whenever a client comes in that I always ask them, how was the last color that we did? We go through a series of questions and, like based off of their answers and how they tell me how it grew out, or just like little details that might have bugged them a little bit or wish that it could have been better for next time, just giving me little hints and like details of what or how the grow out was gives me a good idea of what I could suggest for them to help solve that problem. Or if the client loves the way that it looked, then great, we'll just go with that, and I have another idea of how we can maintain the current look. But spoiler alert, at the very end, I do show what she looks like after this appointment on her second touch-up, and we opt to not do the demi. At first, you'll see in the consult, I suggest that we should do the demi because, again, she shows me pictures that are very dimensional, and she doesn't want to be too blonde. Those were the first two things that she says. But then eventually at the end, she will explain to me that she wears her hair up a lot like she did before, and that also bugged her. So then I suggest later that maybe we shouldn't do the demi and we should just do highlights, and in result of that, since it's her second session the next time, we can skip the demi because now her ends are a little bit lighter. So if we add in more highlights where the dimension is, we'll be able to make it look like the roots aren't technically lighter than the ends because we already are starting off with something that is lighter on the ends. And so that's why there's a process to it. And when a client is doing their first session, very similar to this, as you can see right now, I am going in and applying that demi-permanent. Usually on a client that is this type of level, I will start off with a demi-permanent ranging from a level 3 to a level 5. I normally don't go above a level 5 on this type of hair texture. The only time that I might use a level 6 demi on a client is if they have naturally a level 7 natural hair texture and is on the finer side, because that will grab the color a little bit more. But since she has pretty dark, coarse Asian hair, I'm going to use a level 5 demi because I don't want it to be too dark, because in my head I'm thinking maybe we might skip it next time because she's not fully committed to keeping the dark, but it's just something that she thinks that she may want for next time. So we can always darken it, but I never want to start off with something that's too dark in case she opts to skip it her next appointment. So as expected, this client's hair wasn't able to get to a perfect like level 9 and 10, which is totally normal when a client has permanent color, some old highlights that they've darkened with their virgin root that is so silver mixed in with some pepper. And so because of that, I already set up the expectation that if her hair doesn't get as light, we might not do something that is too gray or silvery. and we can work towards that her next appointment, because my number one priority at this appointment right now is to give her a softer grow out, something that she can go longer her standard 4 to 6 weeks for a base color root touch up with permanent color. And then 2 is to maintain the integrity of the hair, because we need to make sure that the hair still feels good even though we are lightening it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we are using bleach, we are lightening it, and regardless of that, any type of bleach on the hair will dry the hair a bit. And I always educate my clients on that your hair does feel drier than what you came in with. But as long as they use the right products and whatever I recommend for them consistently and routinely, it takes about a month or 2 for the hair to kind of bounce back and just regain health again. And the way that I normally explain this to my clients is that, given an example, like if you have dry skin, if you don't moisturize your dry skin, it starts to crack and break. But if you start moisturizing it, it kind of starts to heal. And I feel like the hair is similar to dry skin. Like if you just let the hair be overly dry, it gets caught and gets tangled, it starts to break because it's so dry and brittle. But eventually, if you really do take care of it and moisturize it, it has potential to kind of heal and get healthier again. So for her toner formulation, I'm using the Danger Jones gloss toners. For her root, we did a mixture of 5-0 with 5-1, and then on her ends, I did a mixture of the 6-01 and the 9-12.
A little weird, but yes.
Yeah, it blends a lot better.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks, I feel like it looks so good. I'm happy with it. You know, like you don't feel too locked.
Yes.
Like the other photos, I did a heavier weave, but we didn't have to on you. It looks so good.
You're so good.
You're welcome.
Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. It came out to be more of like a really ashy, mushroomy brown with that demi in between. This is going to give her a softer grow out than what she had before. But I will say, since it's still in the brown tone family, it will kind of grow out not as soft as a gray tone would. So for this next appointment, we're going to be working on still blending out her gray, and then just depending on what she says, we'll kind of just determine whether or not we do the demi or if we pick out more dark, go lighter. I usually will tell them to kind of just take note of how they feel as it fades out, what they like and don't like, so that I can start suggesting and changing up what to do for their follow-up appointment. And really with hair, especially when a client is not 100% sure, it really is a trial and error to kind of see what works for them and what they like. So right after this, I'm going to show you guys her 8-week touch-up appointment and how this color actually faded out, and what I usually will go over in a consultation regarding her fade, how she felt, and that will essentially determine what our game plan moving forward will be for her follow-up.
So how's your hair been? Good. As far as the color and the tone, do you want to like pick up more of the dark today to get it a little bit lighter?
I don't know. You tell
Okay.
me.
That's what I was thinking, so that we can start like blending in like your natural with it too. And last time we did a demi in between. We can do the demi where it's like super white here, and then maybe leave the back to help with a softer grow out. So we'll just do, and then hopefully that will soften the grow out a little bit more, and then we'll see how it grows out next time if you want to still do the demi after we do the more heavier highlight today.
Okay.
Because with more blonder pieces, we might not have to do it. But just because you have
How
the,
blonde are we going? Like,
can I see your goals again? The photos that we initially were going towards.
yeah, it was kind of like a funny thing because I was like, at that point, I kind of gave up. So I don't even.
We don't have to go blonde either. Okay.
But only because I like the dark in the back. So kind of like the dark part in the back is what I think I like. But I don't know even if we can get dark. Initially, I mean, I wanted something like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have too much white.
Yeah.
One part where the majority of the time I have my hair up, especially for work.
Yeah.
I would get a lot like right here, like
Yeah.
right here. Is there any way we can do something?
Do you want it to be blonder there,
I don't know.
or?
Tell me. I don't know. I just felt like like just right here, kind of. I felt like it. I don't know if it's something that maybe I just have to get used to because it's gonna blend out nicer that way.
So
I could deal with it.
if you want it to blend the softest in these areas, because it does have a bit more white, what I would do is I would just do the highlights and no demi if you want a soft grow out. But you're still going to see the gray in between and the highlights blended here, and that would ultimately give you the softest grow out if the grow out was bugging you. Yeah, and then we wouldn't do the demi. If that area, if you want to have it just like this part is really bugging you, because those are the areas that I was going to do the demi. But if you want it to grow out super soft, we can skip it today and just do highlights around there and see if that works for you. Do you want to just do that? And then maybe just in these areas, I'll try to just like weave it a little bit heavier since we're not going to do the demi.
My mom's generation, like to cover their gray, they went black, or they started to turn blonde.
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like I'm going into, and I'm like, I don't want to be too blonde.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. I'll try to preserve more of the depth back here then, and focus on where you're like a little bit more lighter here to do maybe just like a heavier highlighter in there, those areas. And then I'll see if we can lighten some of the ends a little bit, because the toner we used last time isn't the lightest toner. It's the darkest ash gray toner that I have. And the reason we did that is because the highlights didn't lighten up as light as I would have liked it to. So today I'll try to lighten that part a little bit more too. Yeah.
Feels good. Okay, let's check your tongue. Better.
Make sure I have all the colors.
Yeah, your roots look really good now. The highlights blended in. They look good before. Yeah, but this is gonna, like, you can tell it's gonna grow out a lot softer now. I love it.
So again, this follow-up appointment was 8 weeks later from her previous, and in this appointment we skipped the demi in between her foils. We brightened her highlights a little bit more, and then we toned her to more of a violet gray toner so that this should fade out a lot brighter and softer. And so as this grows out too, she will feel like she can go a little bit longer, and this will just blend a lot softer with her natural gray. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.